Thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming out. I'm very happy to be here. I'm especially happy to be here in front of the statue of George Washington, one of the founding fathers of our country, a great defender of religious liberty, a great respecter of the rights of Christians and other people of faith to live according to their faith and be good citizens. And that's what I want to talk to you a little bit about today, is the danger that this gay marriage bill poses to religious liberty here in our state. You know, it's very easy to say, well, if we pass this bill, it'll leave religious people alone. They don't have to perform ceremonies for same-sex couples. That's what the advocates are saying, but that's phony. The bill has a fake religious liberty exemption in it. It will do nothing to protect the authentic conscience of religious people in our state. The danger is actually not in the bill itself. The bill is already embedded in the law. There are dozens upon dozens upon dozens of laws in our state, state laws, county laws, local laws, regarding discrimination against people on the basis of marital status, or their hate crimes laws, or so-called human rights laws. Each one of those laws was written and enacted into law at a time when nobody imagined that anybody would ever think that marriage meant anything other than a man and a woman. Nobody thought it would be redefined into this phony marriage that this bill is trying to enact. And the problem is that every single one of those laws that bans discrimination on the basis of marital status will be used against religious people. They'll be used against churches. They'll be used against schools. They'll be used against social service agencies. And they'll be used against individuals to deny us our right to participate fully in our society and be faithful to our religious beliefs. They'll be directly contrary to the values of the founding of our country, directly contrary to the principles of the great George Washington. There are so many areas and people are not aware of it. We need to talk about this. We need to warn our legislators to think twice before they do anything this dangerous. No one is looking down the road about the dangers that this law will create. All sorts of different laws that will affect us in our everyday activities as religious organizations. Just a couple of examples. Public contracts or public grants, any grants from the state, any grants from local governments. Contractors are not permitted to discriminate on the basis of marital status. And if we don't recognize a same-sex union as being the same thing as a real marriage, our schools, our social service agencies, our other organizations will not be able to contract with the state. Every single one of our social service agencies, I represent the Catholic Church. We have adoption agencies, we have foster care agencies, we have other social service agencies. Every single one of our agencies will be ineligible for state contracts, local contracts, city contracts. They will force us out of business. Every one of our schools gets money from the state, textbook aid, technology aid, library aid. Many of other churches, many Christian churches have schools. Every single one of your schools will be denied that aid. And many of them will have to go out of business because they won't be able to stay in business without those contracts. Employment. Our law bans discrimination in employment on the basis of marital status. There are exemptions in many cases for what are called ministerial positions, priests, ministers, teachers, but there are a lot of challenges to those exemptions. The ministerial exemption, as it's called, is being challenged before the Supreme Court right now. How much do we trust the Supreme Court of the United States to defend our rights? Not very much, right? We may be forced to hire people for all sorts of positions and recognize same-sex unions as the same thing as a real marriage. I run a very small office. The state is basically going to make me say that this union is the same thing as a marriage. They're going to force words into my mouth, or they're going to stop us. They're going to allow people to sue us and bring us into court if we don't comply. Professional licenses. God help us, I'm a lawyer. I have to get a state license every couple of years. I just paid an outrageous amount of money to renew my license the other day. Teachers, social workers, psychologists, doctors, nurses. There is something like 49 professions that require a state license, every single one of those licenses will be at risk if we discriminate on the basis of marital status. My sister-in-law is a marriage counselor. Will she be forced by the state to counsel a same-sex couple as if they were authentically married? Or will she be forced to give up her license? This is not a fake threat. There was a woman in a school out in the Midwest who was training to become a social worker, a counselor, and she was almost ejected from her program because she declined to treat a same-sex union the same way as an authentic marriage. Again, a direct threat to the religious liberty of individuals in that case. Businesses. There are over 400 businesses in our state that require state permits, and I'm not even talking about city, county, local, town, village, hamlet, whatever else there is, permits. Every single one of those businesses could be at risk. Again, if we discriminate on the basis of marital status. Wedding photographers, florists. If you have a church hall, or you're a catering organization, you run a bus company, you run a limousine company, every single one of those businesses could be put out of business either by the state or by someone suing on the basis of discrimination. Tax-exempt status. I assume most of you go to churches, you've got a nice piece of property where your church is built. We certainly, the Catholic Church, we have a lot of property in the city of New York. I bet your town or your city or your village would love to put your church on the tax rolls. And the Supreme Court has already upheld the denial of tax-exempt status if the policies of the church or the organization are contrary to what the courts think is proper public policy. This has already happened. A Methodist church in New Jersey was denied tax-exempt status for its wedding hall because they wouldn't rent it out to a same-sex couple. I know of at least one Catholic agency, a religious community, that has been, there's an organization, the city of, I won't name the city, there's a town, shall we say. They've been after them for 15 years to deny them tax-exempt status. Not about this issue, but just for money. 15 years. Do you think your church can afford 15 years worth of litigation and attorney's fees? They're going to try to put us out of business. This is a real threat. I'm not making this up. You ask any legal scholar who has studied this issue, they say that this danger is inevitable, it is irreversible. Once we start going down this road of denying individuals and organizations their authentic religious liberty, there is no turning back. And our opponents know that. They are waiting for it. They're eager to do it. They've done it in Boston. They drove Catholic Charities out of the adoption business. They did it in Washington, D.C. They drove Catholic Charities out of the adoption business. They're doing it right now in Illinois, trying to drive Catholic Charities out of the adoption business. And it's not just the Catholic Church. It's going to be everybody who opposes these laws. We've got to make sure that we speak the truth about this. Our legislators are not hearing this message, this danger to religious liberties. We need to stand up and make sure that our government respects our freedom. Our freedom to be Christians, our freedom to be Jews, our freedom to be people of faith who want to live according to our faith. We can make this happen. This bill is not inevitable. It is not inevitable if we stand up against it. And we know we can do all things in Him who strengthens me, right? Amen. Thank you.